Good morning. What's up, Amanda?
Hey, Amy, what's up? Hi, Connor.
Hey guys.
Good morning.
So, this morning we have a special guest, Connor Cocoa Pops Schelling Tisza. Cocoa Pops is what his friends call him. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Connor. He is a former UK tennis player from Belfast, a yoga practitioner, a kettlebell instructor. Which club are you affiliated with, Connor, with your kettlebell?
I did RKC.
RKC,
So
okay.
yeah,
He is
RKC.
a photographer.
Previously RKC, now SFG.
Yes, exactly. Okay, he is also a photographer and last but not the least, a professional print and runway model with major models in Milan. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, ladies.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
So, I met Connor, going on 7 years ago, I guess, in Dublin at the Amazing 12, Paul McElroy's Amazing 12 certification ever. And I was one of two girls at that certification. And Sandra Goodison was there also. She's a kettlebell champion in Ireland. And Connor was there representing the Amazing 12 as the official model and walked out and not much at all. And
lucky you.
Looked down the table at Sandra and I was like, oh my gosh, and I looked around and Paul and Damien and Dwayne, and they were all staring straight at me. And I was like, not even sure where to
look away, look away.
But anyway, you were the nicest guy and you were so gracious at that certification. It was a great time.
Yeah, I was a little nervous myself coming out, but got a good pump on and, did my thing.
Yes, that's right. It was awesome. Okay, so what's going on with you?
Just chilling, really taking it easy. It's time now to sort of take a step back from this whole craziness that's really been going on in the whole world. And I've just been enjoying time with the family. And we actually got a pizza oven yesterday that arrived. So yesterday we made a pizza dough, got it fired up, 90 seconds, pizza ready. Is absolutely amazing. So I've been enjoying time with my family and my brother, who actually came home from Korea 6 weeks ago. So he was in Korea while the whole outbreak in Wuhan happened. And then it had already gone to Korea. So it was China, then Korea. And he'd actually finished his teaching contract in South Korea, which is, he's English teacher out there. And he had 3 months of holidays planned. He's going to go all over Asia. And he had to completely cancel that and just come straight home because he would have got stuck in all those countries. So he came home. He actually quarantined himself for 10 days. And then, which was a bit strange, him being here, being home, but we weren't really able to see him for that amount of time. And then he came back. So I've just been enjoying sort of family time, getting back to having nice walks, enjoying the weather, because it's been really good weather in the UK. It's actually the most ironic thing. It's, lockdown happens and then the sun comes out and everybody goes crazy because they just want to go outside and enjoy the time. But I live in the countryside, so we have a couple of acres in this field all around us. So we can walk outside, see the cows, see the sheep, get a bit of headspace and just enjoy taking a bit of a slower pace.
Amy and I were just talking about that. This is the nicest spring we've ever had where I live too. Normally it's very hot here by now, and it's beautiful. It's 66 degrees, sunny. I mean, it's very, very bizarre that it is this nice this time of year.
Ireland has very changeable weather. You probably know yourself, like every single day it could be, you go through all seasons. But for 2 weeks there, we just had sun every single day and it was so beautiful. And I was actually thinking, it's like, maybe we should order like a little swimming pool or something, because it was actually getting that dry. There was sort of like being like dust balls were being sort of thrown up every single time a car would drive by, and all the fields were really starting to dry out, something that you don't really see in Ireland. It's usually very, very lush and very green. But now we've had a couple of days of rain, and it went from, I don't know what it is in Fahrenheit, but we went down to sort of 6 or 7 degrees Celsius. And it was pretty chilly, but I do quite a lot of cold therapy. So we have a little hot, a little cold tub, and that was just perfect for me. I was just like, whew, this is a nice little extra cold.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm that way too. I love the cold.
I think I live in Oregon, and I think we're very similar latitudes, and we've had one of the nicest springs here too. It's been rain. It's either alternating raining, sunny. So it is as vivid green as I've ever seen. I mean,
Yeah, it's
just
absolutely amazing.
absolutely beautiful. Yeah. So
yeah, you really appreciate nature. Yeah.
Connor, are you a vegetarian?
Well, okay. I'm a flexitarian. I've been through all different diets. I was vegan for a while, for 2 years actually. Before that, I'd always, been a meat eater. But funny enough, my little brother has type 1 diabetes. So he got diagnosed in 2017, I think. And we did a lot of research on different ways to treat type 1 diabetes and to be able to manage blood sugars. And there's a lot of different research that's out there. There's one way for absolute keto because there's no real insulin response. But then there's also an argument for whole food plant-based diets. And so we decided to go sort of the whole food plant-based diet for a while to see how that went for him. And just out of solidarity, I was like, okay, I'll try it too. And then I ended up being vegan for 2 years. And actually, honestly, being vegan, it's the leanest I've ever been in my entire life. For some reason, I was just, for me, the way that my body reacted to it. And this is, there are lots of different types of vegan. You can eat Oreos all day and peanut butter and call yourself a vegan, but it's not necessarily a whole foods plant-based diet. But yeah, I started cycling. I was still working out, but with the cycling and with mostly whole foods, mostly carbohydrate diet, my weight just shot down, and I was just ripped to shreds for a long, long time. And eating tons of carbs. I was actually eating around 700 grams of carbs a day, but I was keeping my fat quite low and protein moderate. But I was just fueling for whatever exercise I was doing. But yeah, I still like to play around with my diet. Some days I would be, would eat maybe more vegan, and then other days I would still include meat and fish and this and that. So it's very hard to say what the perfect diet is, really.
It
but
is.
I feel good in lots of different ones. Yeah.
I have a lot of young male clients, and like they are always looking at different fitness models and athletes and stuff, and they're like just so shredded. And I showed one of them a picture of you, and he was like, that is what I want to look like. And I was like, well, okay, so there's a bit older than you, and well, anyway, got quite a bit more to lose. But
I mean, I think if we're talking about leanness, regardless of what diet you eat, you have to be in a calorie deficit.
Yes.
And it's simply that, like, I was eating so many carbs, and they were able to fuel my workout. And when you exercising at a very high level, at very high intensity, sometimes food can actually become maybe more of a labor to eat, and you see it less as that emotional response that we get from eating food, and more simply seeing it as just, this is gonna fuel me for this. And obviously there are lots of documentaries and lots of sports science stuff out there, but honestly, I did feel that fueling myself with carbohydrates, I had a lot of energy, and I felt very light, but on the same time I was losing weight very, very fast. So it's just, up and down, really.
You look pretty lean right now.
Yeah, I'm eating meat, so but I think that once I had a couple weeks because my brother is actually a pastry chef, so he came home, and he's been as well. He's been making all the most delicious desserts and everything that you could eat. And I had maybe 2 weeks of just eating whatever I wanted, and then I kind of started again tracking, writing down, doing more training, and then just being aware that eating those type of foods doesn't make me feel that great when I have to burn off that energy during intense training. So for me, I just want to eat the thing that makes me feel sort of the lightest, the easiest digestible, and it'll give me the most energy. And but I've a lot of rice, small amounts of protein, and just generally a healthy, what you would prescribe to anybody really. Good bit of carb, good bit of protein, bit of fat, and lots of vegetables. And that's sort of what I've been eating, but I just
Are you
haven't been
familiar with the vertical diet? It sounds like you've sort of have figured out the vertical diet without.
No, I haven't.
Are you not?
No.
It's interesting. It's basically finding you don't eat. There's not a lot of variety, but a lot of easily digestible foods, and even down to the vegetables, like keeping out the things that cause gastric distress, and just really narrowing things down. Stan Effring.
Yes, Stan Effring. Yes, I watched a YouTube video with him and Juji Mufu, and they went shopping, and then they were saying, no, this is bad because it bloats you, and it's not the most digestible, and especially for these people, obviously, they're so huge and they require so much food to be able to, so many calories to be able to maintain that size, that they need something that's extremely easily digestible for their system. So
and then you just manipulate you manipulate white rice and beef to up your calories, but everything else kind of stays the same. Yeah.
So Connor, like aside from COVID-19, why don't you walk us through a day in the life of Connor Schelling Tisza?
Well, as I'm self-employed, and I work a lot of sort of freelance jobs, with the nature of my work, with the modeling and with a bit of acting and photography, it's some months I can be very, very busy. Other months it can be extremely quiet. But lately, generally now, one of the things that I'm really happy about, gotten back to a routine of getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and that just adds so much more structure to my day. So I'll wake up and I'll write a list of things that I want to sort of achieve within that day, the training segment, and get that done. And if I say, for example, before, if I was working, I had a job in Dublin, I would wake up maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, do some yoga, do some skipping, hit a little workout, get my bus to Dublin, go do a fashion show, come home, try to have a good nap, meditate, and then just do it again. Really, there isn't a huge amount of structure in the life of a model. If you're living in the big fashion cities like London or France or Paris or Milan, basically what happens is the night before the next day you get sent sort of 5 or 6 different castings that you'll have to go to that day, and then you go in between the city, and then you'll meet somebody here, you'll do maybe a fitting, or then you'll go for maybe one that's an audition for a commercial, and then maybe you'll go for an audition for a catwalk or this and that. So the life of a model is, or any sort of a model, actor, anything like that, there's not that much structure, but you have to keep, when you don't have that, you have to keep a certain amount of discipline within yourself to be able to structure your day with waking up early, having a cold shower, whether it's yoga or sort of a mindfulness practice or working out. The thing is, you have to be almost at peak shape all year round, because you don't know when the job is coming, or you don't know where they're gonna call you and say, oh hey, they're looking for sort of an underwear model for 5 days time, and you're like, oh no, I've been bulking, or anything like this. So it does. I mean, I lived my life before as an athlete, always training, so that sort of continued within my life, and that does give me a lot of structure. It gives me a lot of a lot of solace. It's very, for me, I need to exercise. Otherwise I'll go a little bit crazy, like a little hamster in the wheel. So yeah, there isn't that much structure generally, but it's, chasing up clients, sending invoices, um, doing your own practice, keeping yourself disciplined, and just being ready for, what comes next, really.
Right.
But it's a lot of freedom. So you have to sacrifice some things. Yourself as somebody who's self-employed, you may not be working, have that much stability, but you also have a lot of freedom on the other side. So
Yeah, which is a
give and
great
take in everything.
trade-off.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
because, there is a lot to be said for your own mental health and your own well-being and appreciation for simple and, subtle and small things in life that give you happiness in the sense of, yeah, just being peaceful within yourself, which I feel like I can say I have.
Yeah. Right. That's probably where your yoga practice comes in also, right?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely helps. I've been doing yoga since I was quite young. So my dad's always taught martial arts, and so we always had sort of yoga stuff, yoga DVDs lying around. And while I was training for tennis, I used to get up again 4 o'clock in the morning. I would do the yoga, I would do skipping, and then this is while I was going to school. I would go. I do my homework. I do yoga. I go skip, and then at 6:30 I would go train for an hour and a half. Then I would go to school. Then after that I would go back to the tennis club, train again, and then I go home, and then I do some sort of maybe like running or skipping or a bit of core, and then yoga again, and then that would sort of be my life, really. So that gives me structure, and that still gives me structure now.
Right. Right. So your parents got you started very young then with that
Yeah.
routine. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And which is I'm really glad that I did, because it does teach you to sort of be able to deal with your own emotions quite young. If you go to any yoga class, I'm sure this is a lot of people's experience. There can be a lot of feeling overwhelmed by emotion during the class, or even if that's not you, there may be 3 or 4 people across, somebody just like, oh, just crying. And it's like, what is your problem? What are you doing? Like, or even if they're doing like shavasana, with this corpse pose at the end, and it's time, just relax, lie down, and then people, they just can't stay in it. They'll just get up and leave, because it's hard to be with your own thoughts when you're going through a lot. But there was sort of, I see yoga very much as sort of tempering of your mind and your body, because there was a post by a guy, I think his name is Sean Phelps, and he said in his yoga practice he makes an intention every single time to let go of negative behavior, negative thought patterns, and become present within his practice. And he was saying in the post, he was talking about, if he can't keep that promise within himself to be present within the pose and respond with calmness while he's struggling or while he's finding a challenge in the pose, how can he keep promises off the mat, outside in his everyday life? And that sort of tempering of yourself and finding your breath and calmness and stillness within something that's very challenging is very empowering. So yeah, I really enjoy that too.
That's awesome. So you were talking about the cold therapy also. Do you follow the Wim Hof method, or is this your own?
Hi, I'm Wim Hof. No, yeah, I know. I was actually, yeah, we did the Wim Hof like quite a few years ago. Again, my dad, he loves to sort of
Uh-oh. He's frozen.
We'll give him a sec. We have temporarily lost Connor. He's frozen.
Are we still here?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, you're back. So you were talking about your dad. Uh-oh, is he frozen again?
Yeah, that's that country living.
He'll be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
We might
anxious
have
to
to
hear about that.
reconnect. There he is.
There we are. Okay, yeah. So Wim Hof,
Yeah.
the Iceman. Yeah. So yeah, for quite a few years we've actually done Wim Hof, and yeah, I absolutely love it. I think yeah, it's it's just great. It's just there's nothing like just going into the cold and then just finding just deep breathing, and there you really do get a sense of clarity, euphoria, and peace after you. I mean, there are layers to it. You can go in and you'd be like, oh, I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. But after you just kind of like let go of that and just get through it, I actually found that when I was training a lot, now this is maybe some people would think this is too much, but there were times where I was training sort of 7-8 hours a day, and I wouldn't be able to sleep because my body was literally too hot. If I went to bed, everything was just like shaking and vibrating, and I couldn't sleep because my whole body was just like in so much pain. Not necessarily pain. It was just I was just training a lot. But then when I started to introduce sort of the cold therapy to that, my sleep quality just went through the roof. I was able to recover a lot better, and I was able to, after maybe like a tough workout where you would feel kind of burnt out for a while, I would go have a cold dip, go have a cold shower, and then I would just feel ready again, rather than just, I feel like whether you're too hot, it sorts you out. If you're too cold, it'll sort you out. If you're too excited, it'll sort you out. If you're depressed, it'll sort you out. It's a very good balancer. That's what I find. So it brings you back to sort of homeostasis.
Right. Amy and her husband and I traveled in Iceland last summer, and we went to one of the glacial hot springs there, and it was near the sea. It was right next to the sea, and they had a ramp, and we jumped in the sea and then back into the sea.
Oh, that's the best. It's literally the best. The hot cold. It's so good for you. We actually, so fortunately, we have an infrared sauna here at home. So what we'll do is go 30 minutes in the sauna, into the cold dip, then back again into the sauna, then into the cold dip. And it really is like onion layers, just a sense of relaxation. And I love that feeling when you're freezing cold and then you get back into a sauna and then your body just starts opening up again. It's you have to do it if you have the chance to do it. And if you can take hot, cold, I would definitely recommend it if you're used to it. I wouldn't go jumping into it straight away. So
we weren't used to it, but I really enjoyed it. Like you feel every cell in your body, when you got back in the sauna. It's like,
yes,
like really a lot.
Yeah, that was really fun.
It's pretty intense. It can get intense.
Yes, I mean, I've watched a lot of Wim Hof, and actually went to, Dave Whitley is a Wim Hof practitioner. You've met Dave, I know, and I went to one of his workshops, and he tried to kind of ease me into it with, the whole shower process of how you do it, and I just have to buckle down and do it. I've not yet.
You know what? Personally, I don't really like the showers that much because it's kind of like cold water just hitting you. It's like,
yeah.
It's not really that pleasant. If you have the opportunity, especially if you're by the sea, there's something about going into nature as well, which is, or if you're in a sort of forest park and there's a, glacial sort of river, it's just amazing to be able to immerse the body into the water. And yeah, it's completely different than a cold shower. And if I go in the cold tub first and then in the cold shower, I can stay in the cold shower for ages. But if I hit the cold shower, because we have an outdoor one, if I do the cold shower, I'm just like, no, leave me alone. But
yeah,
I don't like that either. That's good to know.
Do you actually use ice in your baths, or do you just get real cold water?
Yeah, well, we actually had an ice machine that we would put, like, make a load of icebergs and put it in. But I found that you don't, I mean, in Ireland, it's pretty cold anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, over the winter there, it's constantly around sort of just above freezing. So it was cold enough. Um, but yeah, it's just easier for me just now just to go in the cold and stay in there for a little bit longer and just maybe like shimmy around and move the water around rather than
Mm-hmm.
putting a ton of ice. But we used to put salt in the ice in the tub. We would get like a big massive
Mm-hmm.
sort of 5-pound bag of salt, and we would make like this really freezing cold salt because it makes the water a lot colder, and we get down to like -2 or -4, and then we used to which is, it's pretty freezing. It's sometimes you get to a point where you're like, let's see how far we can actually push this, but that's not always the best way of doing things. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
this is great fun. Let's freeze off all our little bits,
Oh man. So are things starting to open up in Ireland again? Or you're in Northern Ireland right now?
Yeah, Northern Ireland.
Okay.
I think everything is, we're playing it by ear. I don't know what the UK is going to release, what their plan is in maybe a week for the opening up stages. Fortunately, in Northern Ireland, it's a very small population, and we've only had, I think it's about 350 confirmed deaths, I think. So it's very low, but still, there's always that worry, especially because my brother has type 1 diabetes. That puts him in extremely high risk for that, even though he's a very healthy, young, fit guy. Having type 1 diabetes makes it difficult. So he'll have to quarantine and be on lockdown for a lot longer, which means that unless I move away from home, then I basically have to do the same thing. So yeah, everything is still now on lockdown for another, I think, 2 weeks, and then maybe there'll be more measures introduced where people can see each other, but maybe from gatherings of 4 people, but still respect the social distancing rules. I'm not 100% sure what it's like in America or even in each state, if there's different rules and regulations, what's going on there. But it's really tough to say, because I think everybody's dying to get out and sort of get back to normal life and start trading their business again, and sort of get the economy and just life moving again. But the fact is that until another 6 weeks passes after reintroduction, we probably won't be able to see what the effects of sort of reintegration of opening businesses up and relaxing social distancing. So it's a really tough call, because obviously I'd love to see my friends, and I'd love to see, go about and do I had a job lined up, working on a film for 3 months that was supposed to start in March, and then that's been completely postponed. And because it's going to be a high volume of people working together, there's just a lot of uncertainty in whether will they be able to continue with that, or when is it going to be okay? Is it only going to be okay once we have a vaccine? And do I really trust a coronavirus vaccine yet? Like who knows? Or like maybe I let a couple other people have the vaccine yet and see if they react to it. And I'll just stay in lockdown and I'm okay. I don't need to see the real world. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
And the thing is, I know I'm a fit guy, and for the most part, it's over 50s, over 60s that are sort of getting hit the worst by this. But nobody is exempt from this, and we've seen young people die from it without any sort of previous history of illnesses. So you don't know if you want to take that risk, and it's just so much uncertainty that I think it's better to err on the side of caution. But that's easy for me to say when I'm in a position to do that, where there's other people who can't do that. They don't have the support to do that. So it's a really tough call. And now that we just got a polytunnel delivered, so we're starting to make sort of our own fruits and vegetables. And we were my little brother was sorting it out, And then I was thinking, oh, that guy's a little bit close to him. That's not 2 meters. And we're like, I didn't want to be like saying to him, like, get away from him. You're too close. What are you doing? And then it made me think about how that's really going to affect our future. Is it like everything's going to really be different for maybe quite a long time? But I think we just have to, make the best of the situation and really do what we can, because our hands are tied, really. And there's been a lot of benefits to it. It's brought a lot of people together in different ways, families being able to spend time with each other. People had to think laterally of how to move their businesses, and people have had the time to invest in, doing podcasts and starting things that they've always wanted to do, because, they're off work, that you don't really have an excuse. So, now's the time to really, flip it, try to make positive out of it, and accept that you can't change it, and just do the best that you can do, really.
Right.
But I live in the countryside, so it's not like I live in New York. So I mean, I understand what people are going through,
Yeah. I was at my gym the other day working out, and I was just doing my thing, and a friend of mine walked in, and I couldn't really see her because the sun was shining behind her. She was like, Amanda. And I realized who it was. It was my friend Olivia. And she lives in New York, but she's been here quarantined like forever, like not quarantine, but social distancing for, a couple months. And she goes, my boyfriend and I are headed back to New York today. Will you give me a hug? And I was like,
I'm not giving you a hug.
She's like, come on, she's a very good friend. So I gave her a hug. We both had not been around anyone at all, Yeah. She's like, you luck. I was like, I can't believe you're going back to New York, like right now. It's still not good there. We're okay here. New York is not okay.
Yeah,
so, I have to go.
I hope you held your breath and then scrubbed yourself down after that.
Go like this with sanitizer. Just,
myself.
Yeah.
I don't think I've shaken a hand since February. I don't think I've actually shaken a hand since February, which is fine with me because I don't really like shaking hands anyway.
Right?
Look,
and I'm in the South. They're very huggy kissy here. Everybody wants to hug you, and it's just, that's going to change a lot, the dynamics of the relationships. And
I know, and it's almost a bit weird when people are, that when people are loving and they want to come and hug you, they come with a sort of an open heart, and then you're like, sorry, stay back, And it can be easy, you're like get a bit offended by that, but it's the reality of it is it ain't safe. So
right. No. Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not even that they're not safe. It's people would think that, take it personally, but it's not about that. It's just that potentially, what the chances could be. So treat everybody like they're an infected zombie.
Right. Wow. So Connor, tell us what you talked about yoga, but what are your other how does your training look aside from yoga right now? Do you follow a program? Do you kind of just every day decide what you're going to do? Or
yeah, it's pretty well. My stable training really is the yoga, and I recently last year was introduced to Ashtanga yoga, which is one of the oldest sort of forms of yoga, and you follow a routine, and you basically go up to where you can hold the pose, and then if you can't go beyond that, that's as far as you go, and that's as far as you practice, and it develops very quickly. So you go from sort of sun salutations to sort of standing postures, and then it gets pretty intense. So this, even in the primary series, which is what I'm working on, the stage that I got up to is just before you go into a standing back bend. So you stand up and then you basically go back to the floor from your feet. And I can't do that. So it would basically like just going completely backwards, hands to the floor. So you have to be able to work up to those levels, and it can be it gets very, very intense. So you practice it pretty much 6 days a week, and in the morning. But other than that, my training would be more. I do a lot of kettlebells. I picked up climbing 2 years ago, so I would do a lot of sort of finger strength training and pull-ups and general calisthenics. But I really say that the base of my training would be yoga and just a very simple. I can work out with kettlebells very easily. Kettlebell complex and body weight. That's all I really need. Obviously, like you can train any number of ways, but it's what I enjoy, and I find that I can keep I can keep in good shape that way.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah.
Kettlebell and body weight. I mean, you know, those two things. You're set in a pandemic.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Well, I mean, I think I had a very stable base. Well, so we met during the A12 certification, and Paul McElroy is who obviously put on the certification. He's a world-renowned strength trainer, and I first met Paul because my dad, actually, again, guru dad. This was during my tennis career. He was looking up things that would be able to help my tennis career. And there was a kettlebell certification in Belfast, the HKC at the time, a very basic one. And he signed me up to it. And I went into the gym. It's a very old school gym. And this is really my first experience of going into like a proper gym. And I'd looked on the website, and it was full of like big burly guys with beards and tattoos, and like everything, all the pictures were all sort of super grainy, super old school, old equipment. And honestly, I was a little bit intimidated when I first went. But I did the course, and I loved it so much that I signed up for the RKC, and so which is now the SFG, which is Brilliant Kettlebell Certification. And then after that is when I did my 12-week physique, which is what the Amazing 12 used to be called before it was Amazing 12. So I had a really good introduction into sort of lifting, into the whole ethos of training, of not completely destroying your body every single day in the gym, but building up within a comfort zone, and then building up that comfort zone, and then being able to progress continuously for quite a long time through Paul. And then I continued training with him because we were trying to go for a men's health competition to be on the cover of that. So a couple of guys in the gym, we were all training together, all under Paul's sort of tutelage. And it was a really, really great atmosphere, and we all got in sort of maybe the best shape we've been in our lives. And that is just sort of having the kettlebell certification, having the yogas sort of set me up, I really think, for life, because if you keep the fundamentals and the basics simple, and then everything just comes out of that. So work on the simple things first, and then you can go from there, because there's so much you can even do just with a kettlebell or just with a barbell. You don't need much. You can get a lot with very little.
Oh yeah.
We talked about that last week with Andrea Chang, a master instructor for Strong First, that one kettlebell is all you really need.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just one, and it works. Yeah.
Literally, there's so much you can do. You just know how to, create tension within your body and use leverage. It's really is amazing what one kettlebell can do. And there's so much to the kettlebells, because you could do a regular press with a kettlebell. You could do a bottoms up press with a kettlebell, which develops so much strength in the wrist. Snatches, high pulls, goblet squats. The swing itself is a full exercise. You can completely transform your body just with the swing, if you have the patience, to work enough swings, because you can take a lot of volumes doing swings. so yeah, it's an amazing tool, and if you have the knowledge of how to use it and how to properly tension your body, it's really great. I love it. And it translates to a lot of things, so that's great. Actually, well, yeah, when we talk about translating, I had never done a deadlift in my life before, and when after doing the Strong First certification, my very first max attempt of a deadlift was 180 kilograms, which is maybe 400 pounds, maybe less than 400 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
around.
yeah, so it's sort of right around that sort of area. I'd never done deadlifts before, but just because of working 3 months solidly with kettlebells, a bench, that's some people's PRs after a couple of years of training. And just by working with the kettlebells, I was able to pretty comfortably get that weight up. On my very first day, this is the very first day that I went in with Paul, so to sort of test all my different strength levels before we started our the 12 weeks of the training. So yeah, it's a great tool, and it translates.
It is. Amy is an elite Strong First coach. She has all the levels and all the certifications through Strong First. And I've watched her, I watch her training when she posts up and we talk about it, and just employing that tension, that total body tension, and how it's carried over in her barbell training. Oh my gosh. I mean, so strong. It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, and I think that it was the body weight certification that really, where things really clicked and helped to learning that tension in the body weight certification really helped my barbell lifting. And it's like, that's where it kind of all started to come together for me. And I'm not incredibly strong. Thank you, Amanda.
Yes, you are.
I'm not incredibly strong, but I do try to teach, and I do try to use proper technique, because I want to keep doing this well into my 70s,
You're
80s.
absolutely right. Yeah. You don't have to max out, because you'll end up, losing form, and then you'll end up putting yourself in compromising positions. But if you bring it maybe 20 or 30 pounds below your max, or maybe even 10 to 15 pounds below your max, and you work that, and like Pavel says, if you grease the groove, and then you can develop a lot, much more. I actually find the lighter I go, I can actually develop much more, recruit much more muscle than if I was trying to completely, completely max out. So I do enjoy a training that gives me longevity as well, and looking after your body, because when you're young, you really take things for granted. When you're like, oh yeah, it's so funny. Like, I mean, the number of times I've sort of tweaked something or hurt myself just because I thought, oh yeah, I'm strong enough for this. I can just, skip something, or you don't quite work at the level, you work slightly above what you're capable of, just because you think, you're young, you're headstrong, you think you can do whatever, you can conquer the world. And then until you hear, you're like, oh, sugar, I should not have done that. I should have taken a step back, left my ego at the door, because now I'm royally just screwed. So
we know what you mean.
Yeah,
You can say what you want on this podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Because when you're a little kid, and I mean, I don't know, I'm sure you guys did this too, but like when you're 5, 6, 7 years old, and you just you're running around like a maniac all the time. And I just remember always jumping up on trees and doing pull-ups throughout the day. That is grease in the groove. I think that's where that comes from. And it's imagine if we just continued to do that through life and didn't let that go, Yep, that's what
absolutely.
I tell my friends who have little kids. I was like, don't let them stop.
Make them
doing this kind of thing, these calisthenics and these, these body weight things. They'll last forever.
We've become so much more sedentary as a population, even from, maybe 50 years ago. And maybe it's because of all this consumerism and, you know, TV and how everything is so easily available now, and we're working less outdoors, and you know, this and that. But yeah, if you change your entire lifestyle to one of more that's much more active, then it's like you said, you're greasing the groove all day. You're having fun. You're going outdoors, and that's really what I'd love to be able to do, is to feel good in my body, to be able to experience life outside, be able to climb a mountain and feel good, be able to go, you know, running, doing this and that, and feeling, you know, strong and, you know, free and loose and flexible in the body. You appreciate it only once you've hurt your lower back. And then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have you know, done that. So it's but that's the thing, unless you make that mistake, you don't appreciate what you have. It's like having a blocked nose. Only when you have a blocked nose, you're like, oh, I wish I could breathe again.
Yes. Yeah.
I had this really great experience last weekend. My husband and I, we have huge sand dunes here in Oregon, and where my dad lives, there's some that we can still get to, fortunately, because a lot of them are closed. But we got these sand bikes, and we took them out and we were riding, and it was so weird. I got this deja vu of being a little kid just riding bikes. And it wasn't like I was going on a bike ride, you know, I'm going to get in so many miles and I got to put all the gear on. It was, we're just out having fun riding bikes. And I felt, after an hour, I felt so good. It was like the best feeling I'd had in, I mean, months and months of just, wow, I just spent an hour outside, going up hills, zooming down, you know. It was just, it was cool. It was very cool.
They look like fun.
Yeah.
I absolutely love cycling. I got myself a road bike maybe 2 years ago, and there really is nothing. I was tempted to buy maybe like a little power meter, and I got myself a little heart rate monitor, and I was putting those on, but then I started to find that my attention went away from enjoying myself and sort of just cycling and enjoying the surroundings to measuring it and trying to go better or trying to do this. But for me, I just absolutely love just being able to go on my bike, the wind just going through your hair, you know, the birds going through, like little bees and everything just flying about, cows and sheep in the field. And it's just a wonderful thing just to be able to go out, and gives you so much headspace just being on your bike. And it does make you feel like a kid again. Actually, one of my favorite things I do love is doing hills. I am a sucker for that sort of punishment. I used to love pushing myself almost to the brink when I was playing tennis. I used to really love that sort of intense, like your heart's about to explode. like you can almost taste the blood in your lungs. It's like you're breathing iron, and everything's just like your calves are exploding, you know, your whole body is just pumping. But when you start to implement like deep breathing and not to panic, and you're able to relax and push through that and maybe go beyond that, and then you're going to go down the hill again, which is
the fun part.
It's brilliant. No, I absolutely love cycling.
So Amy and I have done a bit of traveling together, and we went to the Aran Islands, and
I was just going to say,
and we rented this pod to stay in there on the beach. It was on the beach, right? Yeah, really cool. But we rented these bikes to ride all over the island, and they were not in the greatest shape, the bikes.
No.
And oh my God,
clunky.
It was hysterical. We were dying half the time. We were laughing, and at one point I was crying because I was like, I can't believe how beautiful this is. And it was just us and the cows and the sheep, you know.
It is so beautiful.
It was awesome. I have to go back. It's just,
Yeah.
and we got to the top, and I can't remember the name, but it was one of the old ancient forts, and we walked out, and the view, I mean, I actually got tears. It was just so stunning and unbelievable beauty.
It was like
there was one guy up there who had camped overnight on a bike, and that was it. It was just us.
Yeah, it was so far out there, and it was like the Cliffs of Moher times 10. I mean, that was spectacular.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Now, the wonderful thing is that you two have that experience that you can always have and share it together, and you just can't pay for those things. When that happens, and you know, the struggle of, you know, being on on bikes which aren't maybe in the best condition, and like, you know, going up and down on hills, but then you come across to this beautiful vista, and it really is a moment of just like, wow, this it's so vast, so amazing, so overwhelming. It's really like, you can't put it into words, but it's like an experience that you can share and you just always know. And that is just life. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's
Very
awesome.
much.
Well, hey, Connor, look, okay, we are at just under an hour, and Amy and I like to do this rapid fire 10 questions at the end of our podcast.
Okay,
Amy, do you want to
perfect.
do it, or do you want me to? It's up to you.
Oh, you better do it. I didn't write the questions down
Okay.
today. Sorry.
Okay, so are you ready for this?
Yeah, fire away. Okay.
Okay, all right. What is your favorite meal?
Oof. An ice cream cookie sandwich.
Yeah.
First.
That's awesome.
What's your favorite color?
Emerald, like a deep emerald green.
Okay. What's the last book you read?
Psychology of Inner Perceptions.
All right. The most memorable concert you've ever been to?
MTV EMAs 2011, because on that you had to do an audition for that, and then a casting director selected me to do like a little skit that was showed up on a big massive screen with Selena Gomez at the time. So yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah.
That's incredible. Okay. What is something that people get wrong about you?
All the time. Whenever they meet me, they think I'm really, before I've even opened my mouth, they think I'm really arrogant. And I'm like, I'm a nice guy. I'm not, I'm not a dick. So. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I always thought you were a nice guy. When was the last time you had a hysterical laugh?
Yeah, it's probably at a movie. I mean, I laugh a lot. I was actually the other day, my little brother just did like an impression of somebody on the TV, and just whatever mood I was in, I actually just like burst out laughing, and it was like, it's a bit intense, but yeah, it was literally a couple of days ago.
Okay. What is your favorite animal?
I love horses. I really love horses.
Cool. What's something that you procrastinate?
Oh, what do I procrastinate about? Oh, probably like that moment where you wake up, between waking up and actually like taking the covers off to get out of bed. You're like, I know. Okay, it's like, okay, 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. Okay. Would 5:03 be okay? And then you just like sit out and you look out and you're like, do I want to get my feet out of these comfy covers? But whenever you do, you always feel better for it, even if it's tough waking up in the morning. So.
What's the last movie you watched?
Oh, The Secret of Kells. So it's an animated, highly acclaimed animation about sort of Irish folklore. It's worth a watch if you sort of mystical Irish stuff. It's really wonderful. I think it either goes by Brendan and The Secret of Kells or The Secret of Kells.
Kells. Okay, I'm going to look it up. Cool.
Yeah, The Secret.
All right, and last but not the least, your favorite vacation place.
There's a lot of places I'd love to go, but I was in South Korea this summer with my brother. I was there for 2 months visiting him, and I just had the most amazing time. I met wonderful people. I had sort of highs and lows. I went out there with tonsillitis, traveling with tonsillitis on medication, that I was extremely nauseous on the plane, and just the whole journey. It was just the whole experience. It was absolutely amazing. So I would definitely say South Korea, but I would love to go to the Dolomites in Italy. I'd love to cycle there, and the Pyrenees, and there's so much that I want to see of the world, and there's beautiful places out there. And if you haven't been to Ireland, I definitely recommend coming to Ireland, because it's a very special place. You can't put your finger on it, but there's something magical about it. But for me, I had an amazing time in South Korea. So
I
that's it.
agree. Yeah. I agree about Ireland. I want to go to South Korea also, but like I said, Amy and I went. The last time I looked at my passport, I'd been to Ireland 12 times, and I was like,
Oh yeah,
"Okay, maybe it's time to go."
It's not enough. It's not enough.
It's not. Every time I go, there's something new. Like there's so much I still haven't seen.
Different experience every time. There's so much I haven't seen either. So I need to go around and get out on my bike and just cycle the whole country.
I can't tell you the many people that we talked to had never been to Giant's Causeway that lived in Ireland or Northern Ireland. I was like,
yeah,
interesting.
I know you should really go.
You should really go. Yes.
But we missed it when we went because they closed it. It was too windy.
Oh my! It was crazy wind. We could not get out there.
Yeah.
So there's a little secret way that you can get behind this Giant's Causeway and go kind of like this back way of getting to it. But you need a local.
Well, and the wind was really legit so bad that it quite possibly could have just blown us right off the top of the cliff.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, it's better that you didn't.
It's terrible.
If you wear baggy clothing, you just go soaring.
Yeah.
Save me, Amy.
Well, Connor, thank you so much for being on our show.
No, thank you. It's been really great to chat.
Really great to hear.
It's awesome.
And I'm really happy to see that both of you are looking great. You're healthy, and I just wish the best for the two of you in the next coming weeks. And keep smiling.
Yeah, you too. We'll be in touch.
Pushing. Yeah, thanks, Connor. I will send you a link when this is all up. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Brilliant.
Sounds great. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, see you ladies. Bye-bye.
Bye.